Welcome to This Explainer. Look, we all know things have gotten way more expensive, right? But today, we're diving into the hidden and, frankly, kind of alarming ways that rising food costs are fundamentally altering how we manage our money. The data reveals some fascinating shifts in consumer behavior that are forming right under our noses. So, let's kick things off with a question you've probably asked yourself lately, maybe while staring at the pump or waiting in the checkout line. What hurts your wallet more, gas or groceries? It's a massive debate happening in households everywhere right now. Well, the numbers are in, and honestly, it's not even close. A staggering 82% of Americans say groceries are hitting them harder than gas. 82%. That is a massive majority. The supermarket is literally the epicenter of inflation pain for us right now. Which brings us to Section 1, the new inflation pain, why the checkout line stings more than the pump. It really boils down to the nature of how we buy these things. Gas prices, sure, they're super visible. They've got those giant, brightly lit signs on every corner, and the prices can change overnight. But groceries? Man, that inflation is just relentless. We feel it multiple times a week. Whether you're doing a huge Sunday restock or just a quick Tuesday night run for milk and eggs, you're constantly getting hit with the rising cost of absolute essentials. You can choose to drive a little less, right? But you can't choose to stop eating. Moving into Section 2, the organic price premium, how healthy choices are driving up the bill. Okay, so if you're someone who naturally gravitates toward the organic section, you are paying a massive premium. Right now, organic fruits and veggies cost an average of 59% more than the conventional ones. 59%. That's a huge penalty just for trying to make a healthy choice. And spoiler alert, the gap is only getting wider. Just look at the divide over this past year. Organic produce prices surged by 10%, but conventional produce, it stayed almost completely flat, bumping up a tiny 0.3%. Basically, the entire inflation burden in the produce aisle is being carried almost entirely by organic items. Let's make this real and look at the everyday impact. Take organic Roma tomatoes, for example. They have completely skyrocketed, sitting at a shocking 133.9% premium over conventional ones. You're paying $2.83 a pound for organic compared to just $1.21 for conventional. Bell peppers, cucumbers, they're seeing the exact same triple-digit markups. When your basic salad ingredients cost this much extra, whipping up a simple side dish suddenly feels like a luxury purchase. All right, Section 3. Buy now, eat now. The hidden financial coping mechanism. This is where things get really heavy, kind of below the surface of the iceberg. To handle these crazy grocery hikes, people are turning to short-term financing. More than half, 54% of Buy Now, Pay Later users say they literally wouldn't be able to make ends meet without these loans. Guys, these aren't people financing a flat-screen TV. These are people using installment loans just to survive the month. When we dig into what people are actually buying with these loans, it's pretty eye-opening. Sure, clothing and tech still take the top two spots, but shockingly, groceries have crept up to become the third most common item bought with Buy Now, Pay Later. Nearly a third of all users, 29% to be exact, are now financing their weekly food supply. And this trend, it is taking off like a rocket. The rate of people financing their food has more than doubled in just 2 years. We started at 14% in 2024, jumped up to 25% in 2025, and now we're sitting at 29% in 2026. This isn't just some passing fad. It is a fundamental, rapidly accelerating shift in how Americans afford to eat. Now, what's super fascinating here is why consumers are picking these loans. You'd probably think, oh, it's because they offer 0% interest, right? Nope. Actually, convenience completely beats cost. 31% use them just because they're easy to use, and 27% because they're easy to get. Only 11% are choosing them for the interest-free terms. It's that frictionless, one-click access to credit right at the checkout screen that makes it all so irresistible. Which leads us to Section 4, the hidden debt trap. What happens when the grocery bill comes due? Well, the consequences are starting to paint a pretty grim picture. Nearly half of all users, 47%, have been late on a payment in the past year alone. That is a 6% jump from last year. Think about it. When you're financing daily essentials like groceries, falling behind means you're compounding your basic cost of living with nasty late fees. It creates this dangerous cycle that is incredibly hard to break out of. And there's a much bigger macroeconomic ripple effect here. Analysts at Morgan Stanley are warning that this surge in financing could lead to something they call debt masking. See, a lot of these Buy Now, Pay Later loans aren't reported to the usual credit bureaus like your standard credit card is. So this invisible bubble of consumer debt just kind of forms under the radar. A bank might look at your FICO score and think, oh, they're doing great, completely unaware that you're juggling multiple installment loans just to keep the fridge stocked. And man, people really are juggling. The data shows that 1 in 4 users are currently balancing 3 or more active buy now, pay later loans at the exact same time, with average balances hovering around $760. When you start stacking 3 or more of those biweekly payments on top of each other, yeah, it is remarkably easy to see how a quick grocery run can snowball into some serious, unmanageable financial stress. All right, let's pivot to some solutions. Section 5, surviving the checkout line. Expert strategies to protect your budget without debt. First things first, we've got to rethink brand loyalty. David Appel, the VP of Marketing at DOS, points out that dropping brand loyalty is this massive shift happening right now. Nearly 7 in 10 Americans believe store brands are just as good as the big-name brands. And they're right. Experts say these private label products usually offer the exact same quality, just without that painful marketing markup. Voting with your wallet and swapping to generic is genuinely one of the fastest ways to slash that receipt. Beyond just ditching the name brands, the experts have a few other core strategies to stretch your dollars. Number 1, buy in bulk, but do it strategically. Stocking up on shelf-stable stuff can save you about 27% on average. 2, as we just said, embrace the store brands. 3, you've got to treat the grocery store like a mission. Stick to a meal plan, bring a list, and just completely eliminate those impulse buys. And lastly, keep your eyes peeled for shrinkflation. You know the trick, where you're paying the exact same price, but the company quietly shrunk the amount of food actually inside the box. At the end of the day, navigating this inflation wave is all about staying afloat with smart, deliberate choices. It's about outsmarting the system rather than falling back on short-term debt that just covers up long-term problems. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. As the rules of the grocery aisle keep changing, how are you going to approach your very next grocery run? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and stay savvy out there.